I'm feeling a bit better, so I decided to go out to this forest that is very near my home, and I actually found this very nice waterbed. I really felt inspired today to paint by the water, and as you can see, there's a very beautiful view here, and there was also very nice light. And I mean, this subject is very magical. Water, moving water, is something very nice to try to paint. Not the easiest thing to paint, but for some reason today I was very much called to do this, and this composition kind of just worked. Sketching it didn't like was very effortless. As you can see, like my pencil never leaves the paper, and I'm just kind of making the connections between each object. And of course there's these rocks that are kind of like islands of their own, but they're all still feel kind of connected in some way. And I just really love the little frost that there is, like right almost by the water surface. That is something that, for example, would really distract me if I was to try to paint it for hours and hours. But since I only have 15 minutes, well, then I can't really focus on that, and I can only focus on how the light is bouncing off the rocks, and also the light that's coming from the sky onto the snow, making it look blue and just full of life and color, really. And one little thing that happened when I just got here, I actually forgot the water container that I usually have, and I almost freaked out. I was like, oh no, like what am I gonna do now? It's like 40 minutes to walk back home just to get it, and there was not enough light for me to go back and then come back. And fortunately, my girlfriend also joined me on this little walk. She had a kind of like same material case for a little cream that she has, and I just wiped it off and used it. So she saved the day once again. Thank you very much. Today was also very cold, so I was trying to learn from the previous days when it was this cold, and I noticed that on day one, if I painted in the sun, the paint or the water wouldn't actually freeze. Also, from previous days, I learned that having brush economy, going through a place once only and not going through it again and again and like re-wetting that place, is probably gonna be key here for me to get this painting done and not freeze on me. Right now you see me, I'm putting down the color of the sun that I'm seeing. Remember that the picture that I use as reference is not the same as what I'm seeing in real life. I mean, our eyes can see a lot more color than cameras, and also the cameras are compensating for the light contrast, and our eyes are very good at compensating and adapting. So if you see that the color doesn't look right, that's because that would be an exact representation of the picture. And I'm not trying to copy exactly the color that I see in the picture, but what I'm seeing from life. That's what this whole challenge is about. And now I'm adding the dark side of the snow, and it's a bit of more of a gray magenta color, very desaturated, very light in value as well. Also trying to just put that value once. I think now I'm adding a bit more of a green tone to the shadow side of the snow, because that's actually what I see. And I noticed that I'm trying to not just think what it looks like, but really observe what color is present, and just trying my best to replicate that without actually thinking, oh well, snow in the shadow looks blue, because then that's what our cameras do anyway, and that's not what we want. We want to be able to paint from what we see. So it's a thing that I'm constantly battling against while I'm painting, because it's kind of like our instinct to just try to put everything under a box, try to see the pattern in things, and stop of really thinking of what we're looking at and what we are perceiving. our brain is really good at just trying to amass things together. And now I'm adding a bit of a magenta pink color that I see in the reflection of the waterbed before the small like waterfall that you can see in the river. Um, this was a bit challenging because it actually looks blue at first sight, but you kind of have to look around and look at all the colors, all the adjacent colors that are there, and don't let your mind trick you. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Our minds just really play tricks on us, and I know I'm probably going on a loop here saying the same thing, but this was what was most present in my mind at this moment. I was trying to think, don't just put color randomly because that's what you think it is, because that's what I have the association to that object. Look at the color that it is. Look, really, really look. Don't think about what color it is. Look at it. And so I noticed that I started adding a bit what you could call more random colors, but I was starting to see something happening in the paper, like something different from previous days. And I think that this has to do with me learning from the previous days. I mean, watching these videos and then noting down the mistakes that I've done and then taking them to the next day. I think it's doing something to me and my skill, I would say. And now I noticed that some of the shadows were not dark enough, so I go back and I start adding it a little bit more, um, more into the water. I see like a deep purple kind of color in the water, even though it looked murky and it looked more red. I think I was thinking mostly about the temperature of what I was looking at rather than the actual color that I was perceiving. I mean, this was a very hard thing to do, um, but I just kept at it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna add it here. If it's present here, it's probably present there, and I would look at my subject and confirm that instead of trying to remember what something looked like. And I think that was very valuable today, and I'm glad that I got to do it. Now I'm mixing the color for the rocks, and I think that today I just kind of understood color in a different way because I felt so connected to what I was painting somehow. Somehow everything was kind of coming to place. Of course, the color accuracy is not perfect, but at least I was able to make a bit better color decisions. At least I felt that something was clicking in my head, so I just charged on and kept being in the flow. I was so in the flow, I was so still while painting that actually a mouse started to go around me, or not exactly under my feet or anything, but I could see him from my peripheral vision just going around. Like, I don't know if he was looking for food or somewhere to hide, or I don't know, but I found out to be very cool that I was just so in the moment, and the mouse just kind of felt like, oh, this dude is not going anywhere and he's not even like paying any attention to me, so I'm kind of safe to just move around him. So that I found quite funny and fun in a way. There was also a little bird that was like bathing in the water that I was looking at this moment, and yeah, he looked super chill as well. Like, he didn't really have a problem with me being there, which I kind of like those moments where other natural creatures just kind of accept your presence and your presence is not like a threat to them. I think that's really beautiful moment. Like, that's when I really, really feel part of nature. And that's something that I haven't felt in a while. And I'm glad that by me doing this project of 100 Days of Landscapes is bringing that feeling back, or at least getting me out there so often that I get to experience those moments again. One thing that I did forget to do as well, it was to get a timer on. The fortunate thing is that I can see what I'm taking a video of, so I can see the timer off the video. So therefore, I was a bit more confident that I was still not over time. I never count the sketch as part of the countdown, but as soon as I started kind of quote unquote stressing about what time it was, I saw that it had been 10 minutes. So I was like, okay, at least I have about 10 minutes, because I don't know exactly how long it took me to sketch, but that's okay. I mean, I never really put a rule or anything about if the sketch is included in the painting. I'm guessing it's not, because it's not painting itself. And yeah, I mean, the sketch is a thing that I could spend a lot of time, but I never have gotten into the habit of taking a really, really long time on a sketch, especially painting outside, because the light moves so fast. And if you really want to capture the impression of something, you shouldn't try to put every single detail of it. You should just have like the suggestions of the feeling of what you're looking at. So, I mean, I guess it works. I mean, I know that I do it because I'm lazy. I'm not saying I do it consciously because of what I'm trying to do, but I think it works. At least it's benefiting me on this project, that's for sure. Now I'm adding the water, which had a very rich color. Like it wasn't one color. When I really looked at it, it was like blue and green and purple and red. It's just so much color was in the water at one time, and I was like, oh, I was starting to get a bit stressed of like, oh, am I gonna have enough time to finish the painting? I mean, there's so much painting decisions, but I was like, just do your best and see what happens. And when I just kind of shut off my mind on thinking, can I get the right color, and I was just trying to look at the subject, look down on my palette while I was and mixing, and then there was something that just kind of clicked in my head without actually me being thinking that, yeah, this is the right color, and I would just put it down. It was something very interesting. I don't think I've ever experienced that, and I guess I never have, because I never really tried painting outdoors that for that long, or maybe with this much of a rush, because I think that having this urgency to be done because I'm running out of time is what gave me the ability to experience this, I would say. I don't know if you noticed, but the sun is gone, and thanks to this, something super cool happened, and that is that the paint started freezing again. But at this moment, since I was almost done and I wasn't really going through some of the areas around that were still drying, and I'm adding just the little shadows underneath the rocks to really make the whole painting come together, and you can see what actually this is, because otherwise it looks like just floating stuff everywhere. The texture that the paint got because of it being frozen, it just added exactly what the painting needed, and I was just so happy about this little happy accident, as Bob Ross called them. Like, I mean, this is not even an accident. It's, well, it kind of is, but it isn't, because I was expecting the paint to freeze at some point. I didn't really notice that the sun had gone until I actually noticed that it started freezing. I was like, oh yeah, the sun is not here, so it makes sense, because it was still like -4 Celsius. But yeah, I mean, it was super cool to see how this thing that on day 2 didn't really allow me to paint at all, now today, I mean, a few days later, I'm actually using it to my advantage to create a very unique texture in the painting. It's so cool to see how much I've been learning in the very few days that I've started this project. I mean, I really could not be happier. for me, this project is already a success. And if I don't learn anything more from this challenge, but I'm just able to replicate this kind of painting behavior in the future, I mean, I'm happy. I'm really, really happy. This I think is the kind of painting style that I want. Is just being able to get the thing that I see and make it in a simpler way, but it's still captivating, if you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong, I mean, there's still mistakes in the sense of I'm not still using enough paint, but this looks so much better than what I tried to do on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, even day 5. I mean, day 5, some things started clicking, but I think today has been the day. I'm so proud. I mean, I'm looking at the painting and I'm like, whoa, I really did that? That's crazy, especially when I think about that I did it in such a small amount of time. It's just so bananas. And I'm sorry that I'm just going over and over again. I'm just really excited. It looks really cool, and I hope that if you're watching this, that you're also learning something, or that this is inspiring you to do the same, of at least going outside, not every day, but like every other day, and explore the surroundings of where you live. I honestly thought that, and for me to be able to get to paint something like this was gonna take at least a month, at least. But this is very close to where I want to be. A little bit maybe more decisive brushstrokes and color decisions, but this one is so good and such a big milestone for myself that I am just so happy. I really can't believe my eyes right now. And this is not to toot my own horn, is not at all. I'm just really surprised with the result of today. I'm not very familiar with waterbeds and rocks. I mean, I usually do rocks very badly, but something just clicked today. I think today was just a really good day. Maybe tomorrow is gonna be a really bad day, and that's gonna be okay. But yeah, I'm just adding a little bit of the green dark moss on the rocks, and that's gonna be it for this painting, I think. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you stuck around till the end of this video to see the finished painting. And I thank my girlfriend that she had this little thing that I could use as a water holder. Otherwise, this painting wouldn't have been possible and this experience wouldn't have happened. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.